Hello, this is George, and today I'm going to work on a Random Doodle Tuesday video. Now, you can use whatever shapes you want. I'm going to use my trusted template, and I'm going to use circles and squares. You can always freehand it if you like. And I like to start out my with my doodles using a kind of pencil sketch. That way, if I need to, I can erase something. Here I'm adding in a couple of triangles. I'm not overly worried that some of the measurements are a little wonky. But if you want, you can add use a ruler. Here I'm going to ink in my lines, and I like to use varying width of my pens because I like the different line weights. Again, I'm not really worried about the overall straightness of my lines. Everything will come together in the end. And if you make a mistake, incorporate it into your doodle. Because I believe that little accidents can lead to profound differences in your doodle. Don't get me wrong, because when I was younger, I was a perfectionist, but as I got older and older, I realized, especially in art, the search for perfectionism is actually a detriment to creating. I like to work my inking, bring the pen towards me as opposed to away from me, because when I do it away from me, I'm more likely to have really wonky lines, which is fine if you don't mind it, but I like to minimize it whenever possible. But again, don't get hung up on the idea of perfection. And I tend to move my paper around a lot, so I hope you're not getting dizzy. And I'm using a kneaded eraser because I I forget sometimes to use an eraser to get rid of my pencil marks, and I like the kneaded eraser because it's gentle on the paper and doesn't smudge it with the ink. So I wanted to experiment a little bit by incorporating something is familiar and concrete and combine it with the non-concrete abstract realm of doodles. So I chose mushrooms. So I'm inking in the shapes of the mushrooms, and I'm not really concerned about rounding out a lot of the mushrooms. But I'm still doing it some places, kind of playing it by ear. You can have as much rounding as you want. Just enjoy the process along the way. I wanted to uh, include a little bit of the zebra striping. I'm going to use it um, a bit more later on. And coloring in with my pen. I am using a larger nib to cover more area. You have my permission to have as much going on in your doodle as you want. But keep in mind that you don't really want to have so much going on that one area overpowers the other. Balance is everything. And I'm starting here in by inking in what attaches the cap of the mushroom to the stem. I don't know what those ribs are called. You can let me know in the comments below. And I'm doing a little bit more rounding out the parts that connect with whatever those lines are called. And if you don't like the rounding, that's fine. Don't do it. Now I'm going to use a little um, pattern making for the caps of the mushrooms. I'm using my Uniball Signo 0.28 for this one. And basically they are connecting circles like a fence. Now this video is sped up, so the actual doodle took about an hour or so. So take your time in doing the doodle if you're doing it alongside me or with me. But if you don't like this filler, you can always use whatever you want to do. It's all up to you. Adding a bit of detail. I love adding shadows within my doodles, and I like to use my zebra ballpoint pen, and you can see I added a bit of paper towel because my hand was beginning to sweat and I didn't want to have the doodle impacted. So you might want to add a paper towel or a piece of paper so it acts as a buffer between your skin and your paper. By adding a little bit of shadow around the border of the caps of the mushrooms, it gives it a bit more dimensionality and a little bit of texture. Well, the caps of the mushrooms are done more or less. Why don't we go in and add some detail to the stems? You can add any kind of pattern you want. Just make sure that you carry it through to at least 3 or 5 areas in your doodle. Because for whatever reason, the brain likes to have odd iterations of a pattern. And you can use whatever pattern, like I said, that you want as often as you want. And every so often change up the patterns within your doodle. I'm going to continue adding my uh, black to my zebra stripes, and I'm going to go with a broader tip so that I'm not overtaxing the smaller tip. Use whatever supplies you have. For example, if you wanted to, you could whip out your um, acrylic paint and use that as well. Also, you can, if you want, add even more zebra stripes. Just be careful because although you can easily add, it's a little bit more difficult to subtract from your doodle since we are going black onto white. this area was a little bit too blank for me, so I'm adding a little bit of a wedge. And I'm just adding some what I call broken hatch marks. Basically, it's very small lines and lifting up and going again with small lines. I hope that makes sense. And again, I wanted to reuse it at least 3 times. If you've enjoyed today's video, subscribe for more videos like this one. Thanks. Every so often, include or switch up your filler pattern. A filler pattern is basically a repetitious pattern that is subtle and works behind the scene. Try to use it at least 3 times, because the more you use it, it becomes less of a standalone doodle than a background filler. I also like to add in a couple of swirls because I like swirls. I love to include stippling in most of my doodles because it's subtle but really dramatic. Stippling is basically a series of tiny, tiny dots. The closer you um, pack them in, the darker the area appears. And like before, I'm going to use it in more than one place. Besides, I really like stippling. It's a slow process, but the payout is great. And of course, I couldn't forget my gold. There's something inherently great and good with a little bit of sparkle. It just warms my heart. Sometimes you may have to put down a couple of layers over the black for the gold to show up. And don't forget to sign your masterpiece. So, what do you think? I kind of like it. I hope you enjoyed the video and got inspired today. I will see you in the next video, and bye.